of Skoldiers and Spice. I'm your girl, Sally, and this is actually my fifth Victory Tuesday in a row with a show on Vikings First and SKOL Network. Not sure what's crazier or harder to believe, that Dave hasn't killed me yet, or that our team, the Minnesota Vikings, keep finding ways to win. Now, it wasn't a pretty one in London, but we'll get into that in a minute. They still came back from across the pond with a win against Aaron Rodgers. So, in my opinion, hard to complain about. But tonight, I am joined by my good friend, Ted Glover. And speaking of Dave, he's going to join us too to get into everything that went down this past Sunday in London. And also, we're going to talk about the bye week and what's to come. So, let's get into it. Ted, hi.
Sal, Dave, how are you guys?
I'm great. How are you, Dave?
Well, I'm doing fine. Hey, two of my favorite people, all on the same show.
Exactly. Hopefully you guys know Ted of the Vikings Report. If you don't, you're going to get to know him right now. But Ted is one of my favorite people. We've actually known each other, I want to say like about 14 years. And You did leave me. You did leave me for a few of those. You and Darren both did, actually. At least you came back, though. So thank you for that. Thank God. But I actually just found out recently that you and Dave are real life besties.
Yeah, I've known Dave since 2004. We were stationed together at Scott Air Force Base, which is still kind of where I live nearby. I still work on the base. We worked in the same organization, which it's like a big call center, if you will, for lack of a better comparison. And I was walking out the door from work one day, and he was supposed to be working, but he had some big article about the Minnesota Vikings up on one of his computer screens. And I walked by him. I'm like, "Hey, are you a Vikings fan?" He's like, "Well, yes, I am." And we just started talking about the Vikings. And this would have been what, 2004, 2005, early 2005, Dave?
Oh, 4 or 5, something like that.
When they were in the throes of being absolutely terrible. So I knew he had to be legit. And so we just started talking, Vikings football. And I had just moved to the area not too long before, and I had just bought the Sunday ticket, so I had the games. And so he started coming over and watching the games every Sunday, and that just became like a weekly ritual. And then we moved my dad up from Florida in 2008, and then Dave, my dad, and I every week, every Sunday, would sit and watch the games. Like when I used to tweet about my dad and the comments he made, Dave can verify those were 100% legit comments that my father would make. He could back me up on this. Those were pure Don Glover quotes. It was good times, man. Good memories.
They were. It was fantastic.
How long did you guys end up being in the same area?
God, when did you leave? 06?
No, I retired end of 08, and it was 09 that I deployed.
Yeah, that's right. So were you around for the NFC Championship game? Or before that?
Mm-mm. It was right before.
You left before that. Okay, yeah. Yeah, okay, so 09, yeah. And then hadn't been around since. He left me. He left me high and dry, Sal.
Mm-hmm.
So he left you.
Yeah, he left me.
Yeah, but I've been back at least once.
Once. In the summer. We didn't watch a game, but whatever.
But we drank beer together. Yeah, it was fine.
True. That's true. We did, yeah. We did.
Well, I'm glad we're all together tonight, at least, right? And hopefully you got to get Dave up here. You guys should go to a game together.
Yeah. And now Drew lives just down the road, about 40 minutes, so we should all get together, go to a game or hang out or something. Yeah, it'd be a good time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you have no excuse not to, really.
Pretty much, yeah.
But anyway, let's get into what happened at London in a minute. Like I said, it wasn't very pretty, but Ted, I need to check in with you about kind of the season as a whole because I'm not really sure. I don't remember how you felt going into it, but I think you and I throughout the years have felt very similar about the Vikings in general. We've often been labeled as negative. That's a narrative we've been fighting against for a long time because at least I consider myself to be just objective and realistic, but can't seem to shake that label until now, I guess. But yeah, how refresh my memory? How did you feel going into the season? What were your expectations?
Real quick, I saw a comment from Thorne Isham. He said he wants my handicap on Ohio State, Oregon, Ohio State by 1,000,000. About the Viking season going in, I was actually a lot more positive on the Vikings than most people, believe it or not. I thought
Really?
nobody thought the Vikings defense was going to be very good. I thought they were going to be a lot better. I didn't think they were going to be this good. I thought they were going to be better. I mean, Brian Flores got more people to fit his scheme. He got rid of Daniil Hunter. Everybody thought that was going to make the defense super bad. I kind of saw it a little bit differently. Daniil Hunter's like, 30 now? He has maybe one or two good years. He brought in Van Ginkel, who's been a godsend. He brought in Grenard, who's leading the NFL in pressures after 5 weeks. He brought in Blake Cashman. They got Stephon Gilmore right at the end of training camp. All those guys have been major contributors.
Yep.
I didn't like losing Daniil Hunter. He was a great player for the Vikings for a long time. Don't get me wrong, but I thought the defense was going to be a lot better than everybody thought. My question was, how would Sam Darnold do? And Drew and Chris and I always thought if Sam Darnold, we said as soon as Sam Darnold signed that if he was ever going to succeed, it would be in Minnesota with this coaching staff and the talent that he has around him. And look, he's like in the running for MVP after 5 games. So, yeah, we all thought that this was going to be a playoff team come week 1 if Sam Darnold could produce, and he has, and the Vikings are undefeated. So,
I know, isn't it so crazy? What was your record prediction going in?
I think I had him either 11-6 or 12-5. Believe it or not.
What you did?
Yeah,
Oh
I had him.
my God.
I had him 4-1 at the break. Believe it or not.
What?
I did. Yeah, we were talking about this on our live post game show because I wasn't sure. I think Drew, Chris, and I all had him at 4-1 at the break. Believe it or not.
What was the loss?
I think I had the Jets game as a loss.
Wow.
I thought they would have had a big kind of letdown at Lambeau with the travel overseas and then Rodgers and the Jets, and I thought the Jets would be better than they've been.
Wow. Well, I'm very impressed with that because we were not on the same page there because I'm already going to have to eat crow like in 2 weeks when they get to 6 already. Which, whatever, I'm happy to do so. Like, there's nothing in life I like being more wrong about than the Minnesota Vikings, but I think it's just more fun when you go into it with lower expectations. Like, if I never saw this coming, I know a lot of people didn't. It's more, I don't know. I take more joy in it when I just didn't see it coming than when the expectations are like a 2010 season where you think it's going to be, it's going to change your life. We're going to be back in the NFC Championship. This is unfinished business. And then it's the biggest letdown ever.
See, 2010, I had bad vibes kind of right off the bat. Like teams historically, when they go to the NFC Championship and lose, they don't historically do well the next season. And Favre waffled kind of that whole offseason. And then they had to send Steve Hutchinson, Jared Allen, and like, was it Longwell on Ziggy's private jet down to Mississippi to coax him back? And he's like, all right, fine, whatever. Yeah, it just seemed doomed from the beginning. I don't know. Yeah. Now 2009, I kind of thought when he signed, I remember I called my dad and I said, Dad, they signed Brett Favre, and my dad said, if he's healthy, they're going to be really good. I said, do you want a Favre jersey? I'm going to go get one because they still had a mall. They still had malls. I don't know if you remember malls, Sally. They were kind of
I do. Every single day, like after I got my license, every single Sunday, if the Vikings would win, I would go to the mall to see if they had any Viking stuff so I could buy something. Never did they ever have anything in Richmond, Virginia, but it didn't stop me. I still went and looked every single time.
They had a sports shop at the mall here, and like less than a week after Favre signed, they had Favre jerseys, and I went and got one for me and my dad, and we wore them. every single week. It was like the funnest season until the end, but whatever. Still a great
I
season.
know. Yeah, it was so fun. I mean, that I don't know. I didn't mean to get into all this depressing talk, but for me, it was like that season too. But then 2017, the way that all happened, I was like,
Yeah.
this is why we've went through all of this, because we're going to be the first team ever in history to play a home Super Bowl, and all of this is going to be worth it. And this is it. This is fate. This is how it was supposed to be. And then we know how that went. So.
Yep.
Ugh, okay, but anyway, were you in the camp you wanted to roll with JJ from the get, or did you think they were probably going to go with Sam? What was your opinion there?
I thought JJ McCarthy was going to start week one. I I hated JJ McCarthy at Michigan. I'm a diehard Ohio State fan. We had Thor Nystrom on. He got me believing in JJ McCarthy right after the season ended. I had to put my Michigan bias away. And I started watching quarterbacks. I'm not a huge like college scout guy. I watch Big Ten football and that's about it. I care about the Vikings and I care about Ohio State and that's really about it. And we had Thor on and I was watching his tweets on X and had him on the show and he like really sold me on JJ McCarthy and I really firmly believed, especially after his debut, that it was just a matter of time that before JJ McCarthy was going to take over and start. I really thought he was going to be the starter week one, especially after his debut. And then I was just like all down in the dumps when it was like typical. Here we go, Vikings. Only the Vikings. Somebody put a stat up on Twitter that McCarthy was the first quarterback drafted in the first round since like 1967 that had a season-ending injury before the
Oh my God, really?
before the season that was going to miss his entire rookie season. Like that's like an only the Viking stat, And I'm like, well, okay, then we rolled Darnold. But looking back now, I think that benefited Sam Darnold, ironically, because the Vikings said all along Sam Darnold was going to be the guy. But I think if Sam Darnold stumbled, he was going to be looking over his shoulder because he was always looking over his shoulder his whole career for just the moment where he screwed up to the point where the Vikings could put J.J. McCarthy in. I mean, you talked about 2017 a minute ago. I remember when Case Keenum was playing very well throughout the entire 2017 season. Mike Zimmer was still looking for a reason to yank Case Keenum and put in Teddy Bridgewater, but he couldn't because Case Keenum kept playing well. I mean, no matter what Keenum did, I don't think Kevin O'Connell would do this, but Mike Zimmer would never give him any credit. The only positive thing he ever said about Case Keenum is like, well, Case has a big set of balls or whatever it was. He said that one week. I can't remember what game it was. But he would never give him any credit for anything. It's like he hated giving Keenum the starting job every week because he wanted Keenum to screw up, it felt like. And I think that would have been an issue every week for Darnold in the back of his head psychologically. So when J.J. McCarthy got injured, that was removed. And I know a lot of people don't like Nick Mullins, but I'm okay with him as a backup if Darnold has to miss a game or two. If it's 6 or 7 games like Kirk's injury was last year, then the Vikings are screwed anyways. But I think it was a blessing in disguise for Sam because now he's comfortable. He knows he's the guy. The team rallied around him, and look what's happened.
Yeah, I completely agree. For the psychological thing is the reason I could see him totally that getting in his head, and also the fans in US Bank Stadium. If he had a bad half, they would be chanting for JJ McCarthy every single game. And a guy like him who's been through so much, I don't know if he could shake that off. So for that reason, psychologically.
Were you at the Texas game?
Yes.
When I heard it on TV, but when Sam Darnold went down and was out for 2 or 3 plays and came back in, that might have been the loudest, other than maybe the Minneapolis Miracle, I've ever heard that stadium.
Yeah, it was so loud. I mean, because we were all just because we saw him go down and then he got back up and I kind of glanced away for maybe 2 seconds. And then I look back over and he's on the field laying down and the training staff is surrounding him. And I couldn't see him at all from my vantage point because they were surrounding him completely. And we're like, oh my God, what just happened? And of course your mind goes to, of course. But when he got up, I mean, everyone has just embraced him 100%. And why wouldn't they? But yeah, it was super loud in there. Everybody was relieved, and then when he came back in, it was just one play out, thank God. Just like this past week, and Nick Mullins tried to get Aaron Jones killed. So
Well, gotta. But see, that goes back. Kevin O'Connell has complete faith in Nick Mullins because it was one play, but he's like, you know what? We're not handing the ball off. Nick, go deep. And you're throwing the ball at Aaron Jones, and Jones went up and got it. They got 30 yards, and it was great, man. I
yeah,
loved it.
absolutely.
I love the confidence Kevin O'Connell has, and after that second game, I remember watching KOC's press conference, and he got, or maybe it might have been the 49ers game. He got choked up talking about Sam Darnold. I mean, the only thing Mike Zimmer ever got choked up about was when he wanted to choke the reporter that asked about Kellen Mond after the Green Bay game. It's just such a difference, the difference in culture. And then you have Darnold saying how much it meant to him when he heard the cheers when he went back in. He never got that before, man. He got shit on. Well, he got crapped on in New York. He got crapped on in Carolina. He never had any talent around him, and now he does have talent around him, and he's finally proven why he was taken third overall. So I'm really happy for the guy. I really, truly am.
Yeah, it's one of the best redemption stories that I can think of in recent history, and I obviously we all hope that he continues to do well. But what a great storybook season this could be for him, and he can get paid and get himself a long-term deal and hopefully continue to be successful. But I see Thor Nystrom getting a ton of love in the comments here. He is hijacking another one of my programs. I mean, at this point, he might as well just come in here and co-host the show with me. If this is going to keep up, but
we can arrange that.
Yeah, I mean, we might have to arrange it. I do have 2 purple chairs here, Thor. So, whenever you're available, you let me know, okay? But all right, Dave. What about you? Did you want JJ or did you want Sam? Because I wasn't in the Vikings first and SKOL family yet.
I was all for JJ. The kid has the it factor, and that was obvious. Not since Teddy has a Vikings quarterback had, quote, the it factor. Teddy didn't have all the skills that JJ McCarthy had. Teddy was developing going into the 2016 season, looking great, especially the preseason game against San Diego. And then, unfortunately, his knee exploded and never went in his career. But he made good money as a backup after that. And just the fact that he could walk and didn't lose his leg was fantastic. But JJ is so far above talent-wise and has that it factor. And by it, I generally mean leadership style that's he's a magnet, draws people to him. And the fact that he lives and breathes football, the love of the game and learning it and all that, I thought eventually he was going to take over as a starting quarterback. Now, whether it's going to be week 1, it was going
to be week 1. It was going to be week 1, I'm telling you.
But he was working that way. I mean, that preseason game and everybody's saying, well, he might just take it that way. So let me ask
you this question. If you're Kevin O'Connell and Kwesi Adofo-Mensah, you go 7-10 last year, and if you start out like 1-4 this year with Sam Darnold and JJ McCarthy, now it hasn't worked out that way, and that you say you're going with Sam Darnold all year, and you got your guy, you got your future guy that you scouted and groomed on the bench, and you're sitting at 1-4, you're not going to keep him on the bench, man. And if you're 1-1 or 1-2 even, and Green Bay starts 2-0 or whatever it was they started, you're gonna pull the trigger on him, man. You just are.
And especially after the preseason game and then his injury, we find out. But the way Kevin O'Connell talked about, we have found our franchise quarterback. When he said that it's locked in, right?
Yeah.
Unless Sam wins the Super Bowl, basically, JJ is the guy taking over in 2025.
Well, I think even if they do win the Super Bowl, he's taking over regardless because, Sam's on the 1-year deal, and why would he be back? They're not going to give him a long-term deal here in Minnesota. Why would they? It's not going to benefit them salary cap wise or, JJ wise. And I think Sam, if he does win a Super Bowl, get deep in the playoffs, or just continue to be consistent how he has been, it's in his best interest to go somewhere else, get a multi-year deal, and get paid, as much as he can. So I don't even see a scenario where that even happens, Super Bowl or not.
To be the first quarterback to win a Super Bowl for Minnesota, that would be awful tempting by the Wilfs to say, "Hey, here's a checkbook, write it."
If you do that, though, you completely blow up.
Oh, I agree. The plan,
the long-term philosophy of O'Connell and Adolfo-Mensa, which is to build your team around a quarterback on a rookie contract. They just got rid of a veteran in Kirk Cousins on a very expensive contract. You can't do what you want to do with a quarterback with a big contract. Now, will they build a statue of Sam Darnold? Yes.
Yes.
Will Sam Darnold drink free in the state of Minnesota whatever bar he walks into for the rest of his life? Yes. But
I'll have a tattoo of him. I'll get his portrait done on my own.
There you go. Sal will get a tattoo of Sam Darnold, and Bob's your uncle. But be that as it may, I just don't see it, because I think when they sat Sam Darnold down, they said, "Sam, we want you here for 1 year. We'll give you $10 million or whatever his deal is. But we are going to draft our quarterback of the future, and he's going to be our starter in 2025. You are going to have a 1-year deal to show the rest of the league what you can do. We are going to coach you up, and we're going to get you to the potential we think you have, which is what we saw when you were drafted in third overall in 2018 or 2019, whatever it was. So when you leave here, you will get a monster deal, but it just won't be from us because we can't afford you, because this is our future, this is our plan, and this is what we want to do going forward. But we want you to run our football team in 2024. What do you say?" And I think that's what Sam Darnold agreed to. Now, look, if he wins the Super Bowl, maybe all bets are off, but I don't think so. And whatever it is, I don't care. But right now, I'm going to enjoy this year for this year, because it's a blast so far. But yeah,
I agree. It completely contradicts the entire plan. So yeah, I don't see it happening. But Skol Mafia, thank you so much. You are always so supportive of the show, and I really appreciate you. And it was great meeting you at Skolfest also. But okay, let's move on. Let's move on to what's going on now. So 2 years ago, this team are responsible for getting Daniel Jones, making him one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the league. And this year, they're getting coaches fired after only 5 weeks. So quite the contradiction there. But yeah, let's talk about what went down in London. Obviously, it wasn't pretty, but I think good teams find a way to win, and they found a way to win. It's not always going to be blowouts or close games, and they never trailed again. So yeah, what do you think? What do you think about that, Ted?
Yeah, I don't think they're going to blow out every team every week, like you just said. Excuse me. They went up 17-0. Andrew Van Ginkel with the pick six. Aaron Rodgers is cooked. I just think he sucks now. He's ruining another franchise, which is great. And I saw a thing where Robert Saleh was going to come in and demote Nathaniel Hackett. He was going to demote him from play calling duties. And then before he could whack him, it was like a mafia thing, man. He was going to come in and whack Hackett. But before he could make a move, the owner schwacked Saleh. It was like an old-time Corleone hit, man. It was wild. And so Rodgers is in the process, because I'm telling you, Rodgers is running that franchise. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, somewhere Ed Donatel is sipping on Mai Tais on a beach, getting his cut from Daniel Jones for that massive contract he got, helped Daniel Jones land for the playoff loss a few years ago. It's a wild turnaround. It really is. I love to see it. I'm so jazzed with what this team is doing, because you finally see what Kevin O'Connell and Kwesi Adolfo-Mensa envisioned when they got this job, and it was Tough to see in 2022 because they had all those really weird close victories, like the Bills game, and then they had the Greg Joseph hit that 60-yard field goal or whatever against the Giants towards the end of the season. Then they lost the Giants game, and they had all those injuries last year. And like, man, what's going on? But now you see it, and now they've got a lot of dead money this year that everybody was bitching about, and they got rid of a lot of veterans that everybody was bitching about. But now you look ahead next year, they've got a really young roster. They've got a lot of cap space, and they're going to have a lot of room to make moves in terms of free agency and hopefully make some trades and get some more draft picks. And it's really probably the most exciting time to be a Vikings fan since 06 when Childress first got hired and everybody was kind of fired up, or maybe
were people fired up about that?
Yeah, when he first got hired, because it was like, end of the Tice era, and had the Love Boat stuff and had just happened, and Boss had been traded. It was just, golly, what's going on? Yeah. So I don't know. It's just really a really, really good time, man. This is a really fun team to watch because they're good on both sides of the football. And Kevin O'Connell is really evolving as a play caller, and Brian Flores is the best assistant coach in the game right now, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's obviously the biggest difference in this team this year is the coaching staff. But, I don't remember that Brad Childress stuff. I never miss an opportunity to slander Brad Childress, as I'm sure anybody who listened to Believe in Vikings knows back in the day. But I'm a Mike Tice apologist, so I don't agree with that decision even way back then. But yeah, I think you pretty much hit the nail on the head there with the coaching staff. And I think, getting rid of Kirk Cousins obviously freed up a lot of money for them to be able to go after all of these free agents and the guys that they're bringing in that were undrafted, such as Ivan Pace, and they really are making the most of the situation. And I'm not really, it sucks that they don't have as many draft picks going into next year as we would hope, but I feel like they'll find a way, to get many of those back.
When you're picking 32nd, it's not really going to matter.
Exactly. It's like they didn't give up as much to the Dallas Turner trade as we thought at the time, because
no, I'm not upset about that trade. Like, look, I would much rather trade up and get guys like Dallas Turner than do the Rick Spielman trade down and end up with like 15 or 16 6th and 7th round picks.
Yep. Guy never met a 7th round pick that he didn't like. That's for sure.
Couldn't swing a dead cat without hitting a 7th round draft pick in that team. Jesus, drive me crazy. Yeah.
It's nuts. So what do you guys think? Do you think that Aaron Rodgers is the reason that his coach got fired today, or what do you think the story is? And I don't know. What is he blaming him for anyways? Like, he wasn't the one throwing those interceptions. I don't get it.
I don't get the move. I thought Saleh was going to definitely be on the hot seat after this game, but firing him now.
I can't remember the last time a coach got fired this early in the season. Can you guys?
I heard it earlier today. Somebody mentioned it. It was maybe somebody in the comments knows. But I can't remember off the top of my head. It was the guy. It was a guy that was hired the same year Saleh was fired or was hired too. Oh. Yeah, but I can't remember off the top of my head.
One of the reasons he might have been fired was karma. When he took over as the Jets head coach, the first thing he did was release Sam Darnold.
That's true.
Oh,
that's true. Well, he traded him to the Panthers.
Interesting.
But he got rid of him.
Yeah, sure did.
And this is sort of timing wise, like I said, we figured Saleh was probably because of the divisiveness that we're seeing between Aaron Rodgers and Saleh. There was the last week's game when they were winning and he went to hug Rodgers and Rodgers did this to him and all that sort of stuff. Mm-hmm. We figured Saleh wasn't long for the world of being an NFL head coach. But the timing on this, I thought, was perfect. Karma. Because it was by the quarterback he released. Mm-hmm. And it just happened to be that way. Now, whether it was the New York owners that said, you made a wrong decision back there when you first got it, and this is just cake, done.
Well, I love that. I love that it's gone full circle, and Sam Darnold gets the last laugh. And now they got Aaron Rodgers, and they see how that's working out for them. So yeah, it's just so funny to watch him fail, and as you said, Ted, just ruin another franchise. He's always pulling the strings. He's smarter than everybody, and then it comes down to him at the end of the day. But we have 82 people in here, which is awesome. You guys subscribe and hit some likes if you can. That would be very helpful, and I would really appreciate that. But okay. What concerned you the most about the game? I know people. I see a lot of negativity on the Twitter, and it's not from me. So I'm happy that I'm finally freeing myself of this label here. But there's a lot of negativity about it, and I think there's never a great game that goes down in London between any teams. I mean, I don't want to use the excuse of the travel, but I do think that has a lot to do with it. And the Jets are a great defense. It's the best defense I think that they've faced, so far.
Yeah, they are good defense. I think the travel had a lot to do with it. The time zone change has a lot to do with it. If you ever traveled and gone overseas, it takes your body a few days to get used to it. Now go play a professional football game with dudes crashing into you and having a car accident, 25 times, in 2 hours. I think that'd be tough for anybody to do. But that said, I think Aaron Jones going out early or half or close to the end of the first half changed the dynamic of the game, what the Vikings wanted to do offensively. Sam Darnold, I don't understand what the Vikings were doing. If it was Sam just ignoring the underneath routes, if you look at some of the deep throws he was trying to force to Justin Jefferson. If you look at some of the replays, Johnny Munt was running alone and unafraid 15 yards in the middle of the field with nobody around him. I don't know if he just didn't see him or what the deal was. Maybe with TJ Hawkinson coming back next week, hopefully that will change. But I just think some of those deep throws, Sam could have maybe, I hate to say it, but done a Kurt check down to the tight end and gotten 15, 20 yards instead of forcing it deep. And
yeah, it was interesting to see. It was interesting to see because Aaron was getting the snap off quick, the ball quick, and he was just tossing all these short plays and just moving down the field. And every time it seemed like Sam was just going deep every single time, even though it wasn't working out. And I understand, especially how they were playing with the pass interference calls, that maybe that was his hope, but it didn't seem like they were mixing it up at all.
It was like Sam got in the huddle. He's like, all right, Jerome Simpson pass interference on two, let's go, ready, break. I mean, come on, man.
Oh my God.
Come on. Yeah. All right.
From the past.
All right, JJ's out there on two, let's go. I mean, that was like their whole offensive strategy, I think, after Aaron Jones went out. And the running game wasn't very effective when Jones went out. I still like Ty Chandler. Hopefully the Jones injury isn't serious. But yeah, I think they need to work on their play calling, and I'm confident they'll get it worked out. I think that was more an anomaly, not a trend, because we see how they were the first 4 games. I think KOC's done a very good job of calling plays and mixing the run and the pass, and I think they'll get that fixed during the bye week. So I'm really not too concerned. But that was the big things I saw. The defense played out of their mind again on Sunday, and I think that was the first time in 29 games they played against Aaron Rodgers. That's the first 3 interception game they had against him, so that was pretty cool.
Really? Oh, yeah. Beautiful. Well, I saw Thor in the comments again. He's talking about the Vikings have not trailed in the last 4 games. And my pal, Dustin Baker, actually sent me these stats a couple of days ago, so I want to read them. So the least amount of time trailing through 5 games since the merger, the 2009 Saints never trailed in 5 games, won the Super Bowl. 1984 Dolphins trailed for 1 minute and 7 seconds, lost the Super Bowl. 2023 49ers trailed for 1 minute and 45. They lost the Super Bowl. 1999 Rams trailed for 2 minutes and 30 seconds. They won the Super Bowl. Then we've got the Minnesota Vikings, 3 minutes and 26 seconds here in 2004. And the 98 Broncos trailed for 4 minutes and 23 seconds, won the Super Bowl in 1998. So they're in good company.
So, yeah. Okay.
Well, and that Saints, that should have been our year. But
Yes, it should have been, but just saying.
I'm not jinxing. I'm not saying the words that rhyme with schmooper hole. I'm not doing it. Not doing it. Not doing it.
I didn't say it's happening. I'm just saying history. And I don't want the Vikings have, there's some history and similar stats that I'm not going to say out loud where they
we
are
started
the
out
one of
5-0 and we didn't make the playoffs.
yes,
Twice.
and I think yes, and that was what I wasn't going to say, Dave.
Hey,
okay,
get it out there. Because
no, I want to talk about this one because let's talk about that 2016 team. That 2016 team was a train wreck waiting to happen. You know what that 2016 offensive line looked like?
What?
A MASH hospital, for Christ's sakes. I mean, it was like the left tackle that started most of the year was TJ Clemmings. The left guard was, I think, Jeremiah Searles. The center was Brandon Fusco. The right guard was maybe Drew Samia. I'd have to go look it up. It was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. Yeah. They averaged 3 yards per carry, which was worse than franchise history. Teddy Bridgewater's knee got blown up by ISIS like less than a week before the season opener that I had tickets to in Tennessee that I almost didn't go to the game to because I was so depressed, but I ended up going and had a good time anyways. Look, anyway, those first 5 wins were good wins. I'm not saying they weren't, but it was. And then the injuries started to pile up. They signed Jake Long in October off of retirement. The rotted corpse of Jake Long from Michigan, who in like 2 games, who in 2 games became the best offensive lineman in the team, and then like a week later blew his Achilles out and said, "You know what? I think I should have stayed retired." And he retired for good because the offensive line was that bad. That's how bad they were. I mean, stuff like that gets burned in your memory when you're a Vikings fan. That team, look, this team is not that team. And I'll tell you what, this team is not Vikings teams of the past either. They close games out. This team is different, man. I'm telling you, this team has a completely different vibe. This coaching staff is different than coaching staffs in the past. These players are different. This team just gives off a completely different vibe than these other teams that we've watched for maybe 50 years, allegedly.
Allegedly. No, I completely agree with you. They've been convincing wins. They haven't been fluky wins. Even the close ones, that was a convincing win. It's completely different. You're right. 2016, although Sam came in that first game that opened up US Bank Stadium and was lights out, and we thought, oh my God, okay, it's going to be okay. They came off of winning the division the year before, but then you could see the wheels falling off pretty quickly. I remember that Halloween game against the Bears where what did they have? Zimmer insisted on putting Sam in, and then he had to bench him and put Case in at half. And I think, is that the year that his eye, the whole retina situation, the eye patch, there was bad vibes surrounding everything.
And a lot of those early wins were done by the defense getting turnovers and scoring.
Mm-hmm.
The defense was scoring a touchdown like every other week that year. And it was just, it was unsustainable. It just went crazy. And they had to go to 7-Eleven to find linemen. It was bad.
They fired Norv.
6-0, but
yeah, they did.
They fired Norv, I think, after that game, which I must have just mixed that up because Case Keenum, that must have been the next year because obviously
that was 2017. Yeah, that was 2017.
But they still had that Halloween game and it was brutal. And that was the year with Mike Zimmer. But yeah, they fired Norv, and then the story was always that, Zim punched Norv in the face. Or sorry, Norv punched Zim in the face, and that's what really happened to his eye, which I don't know.
That's what detached his retina. I'm telling you, that's a good theory, and I'm going with that. I think that happened. I firmly believe that happened.
The timing makes sense. The timing tracks, and we never even got really a reason. Remember Zim was super emotional after that when he talked about Norv being let go, and I don't know. Just read the tea leaves, and it makes a lot of sense, I think. But all right, so how do you feel about Sam? Obviously, not his best game. He was not accurate. I don't know, how significant the injury was affecting him. But what do we think? Are we concerned about him going forward? Do you think it's going to work out and he'll return to how he played the first couple weeks?
I think so. Yeah, somebody mentioned earlier in the comments his ribs. I think that was probably bothered him, and it started raining pretty hard. It's hard to throw a football in the rain,
Yeah.
Especially when they were going those deep routes. I don't know why they didn't shorten the field, shorten the routes up. You mix that in with the play calling and the lack of running game. I think all those kind of came together to produce the offensive result the Vikings had, and they still won. Look, they still won, and I the only kind of twinge of doubt I had was that it was still Aaron Rodgers, and I still thought the Vikings were going to win in the end, and they did. I think the bye comes at a very good time for them. Believe it or not, I'm not a big fan of early buys, but this is good for them. Gives Sam a week to heal up and get his ribs and knees right. Gives Aaron Jones a week to get his hip treated and ready to go, because Detroit is going to be a big game. And then they've got hopefully TJ Hawkinson coming back. And then you'll get to witness the power of this fully operational battle station, as the Sith Lord once said in one of those 27 Star Wars movies we saw way back when. Nerds.
You'll be shocked to know I haven't seen that. Hope
So
everyone's
yeah,
sitting down for that news.
Yeah, I think it's good. I think it's a good time. I think they'll be. I honestly think they'll be fine.
Yeah, I'm with you. I hate the early bye. When the schedule came out, I hated it. And they're definitely not as banged up as other teams in the league, so they don't need it as badly as a lot of other ones do. But I'm glad it's coming at this time as well. Aaron Jones hopefully can get back, because we saw how out of sync the offense was pretty much from the time that he went out. So, and then they've got a big game with the Lions coming through. I kind of hope it gets flexed. I really do. I don't know how likely that's going to be, but I really hope that it does, for selfish reasons, because I want to
Keep it
have.
at noon.
No, I want to have a 5-0 tailgate. I've never been able to have one of those before.
They supposedly have to do it 2 weeks in advance, and we're within 2 weeks already.
They have to do it 2 weeks in advance? I don't think they do. I just read up on the rules before we got on here.
Well, I thought that was the rule.
They changed it in 2023. So they can only flex 2 games, and between week 5 and week 10, and they can only flex to Sunday night. They can't flex to a Monday or anything like that. That can't happen until week 12. But the night game right now is Pittsburgh and the Jets, and I don't think they'll take Aaron out of prime time. So it's probably unlikely that will happen. But for the selfish reasons, like I said, I want to have a long tailgate. So anyway, how do we feel about going into that game? Obviously, the Lions are on a bye right now, and they played really well their last game against Seattle. I think Jared Goff was 18 for 18.
Yeah, the Lions are good. I'm not saying they're not. Don't get me wrong, but I also think the Lions are beatable as well. They look kind of shaky their first couple of games. They seem to get it rolling against, God, who did they beat that Monday night game? 48-27. Was that Tennessee? I can't remember off the top of my head, and it doesn't matter.
No.
But yeah, they seem to have it rolling. Then they hit their bye. We'll see how they play. They play this weekend, so we'll see how that goes.
They played Dallas, I believe.
The thing that they have going for them is, or the thing the Vikings have going for them is going to be a home game, and that place is going to be insane. I mean, U.S. Bank Stadium is going to be insane. And I think the Lions. I think a lot of teams think of this Vikings defense of the defense they saw last year, and the defense they saw last year isn't this year's defense. It's a lot better. It's a lot quicker. It's a lot faster. And Goff is a quarterback that they can get to. He's not very mobile. He can move a little bit in the pocket, but I think they have a chance to get to him and hit him a lot and get him off his mark. And if you can get Jared Goff off his mark, he's gonna sail a lot of footballs, and that's going to give the Vikings a chance to get a lot of turnovers. I like their chances. I really do at home, especially at home.
Well, and we know that Dan Campbell is going to go for it on every fourth down, and I don't think that's going to work out so well against this Vikings defense.
I think that act is going to grow thin with the Lions. I mean, you can do that sometimes, and if it works out, it's great. But it's not worked out. I think his boneheaded decisions cost them a spot in the Super Bowl last year. I really do. And you keep making decisions like that, it's going to cost you your job. And they're doing okay, but at some point it's going to cost them again, and fans are going to get irritated, and the players are going to get irritated, and it's going to cost Dan Campbell his kneecaps, figuratively.
Well, wow, we have 109 people in here, you guys. That is the record for Skoldiers and Spice and a live show.
Nice.
Thank you, guys. I don't know if it was the selfie or not, but the selfie might have had something to do with it. If you're here from the selfie, please drop in the comments, because this is for science. This is for science. But please like and subscribe if you're one of those 109 people. We would really appreciate it here on Vikings First and Skol. All right, Dave, you have any thoughts to add? How are you feeling about the Lions?
I think it's going to be a pivotal game, and I do believe, I agree with Ted, the stadium's going to be rocking, but it's going to be a tough game matchup. I do believe that Brian Flores is going to have Goff figured out, and I think because the Lions' weakness is their secondary. It's unlike the Jets, where the Jets, their D-backs were superb.
Absolutely. Which was another reason it was so crazy that they kept going deep every single play.
If you want to learn why, Luke Braun of Locked On Vikings this morning had a good explanation. And it was because they play a cover one, man-on style defense, there's certain reads. And the read is if Sam sees something, the deep throw is where he needs to go. Okay. Well, most of the time, what you rely on in the deep throw is that the receiver beats the cornerback. Well, DJ Reed was like glue. He played fantastic. And JJ didn't get past him. And same on the other side. And it was just, Sam was going with the correct read. It was just that the defense was so good, it didn't work out as well. And then towards the second half of the game, it started misting and getting English weather. And that was that. But when we play the Lions, that's their weak point on their defense, is their defensive backs. And as long as Sam has enough time, I think we're going to tear them apart.
Ooh. You think another blowout, Dave? You going with a blowout?
Convincing win. I don't think we trail.
No.
Dave Stefano with a spicy hot take.
That was
Sal Spice hot take.
That was very spicy. I don't know if I can go. I can't get that spicy against the Lions. I don't know. I'm a little scared, but I'm interested to see how they play against Dallas with that Mike Zimmer defense, which is just doing so well. I think he should maybe mind his business and worry about what's going on in the present day and not 3 years ago here in Minnesota, which he seems to still be given a lot of mental energy. But that's none of my business anymore, right?
They beat the Steelers this week.
Yeah,
they did. They did, but I don't know. In my opinion, they were kind of a mirage as far as being undefeated. But I mean, they're no Minnesota Vikings being undefeated.
Well, and they're not undefeated. They got defeated, but
right. I'm saying they were.
Come on, he beat Justin Fields. Come on. So what?
And it went down to the last play for him to do that.
Just saying.
Yeah, just saying. Okay, what do you guys think? Are you concerned about the run game? If Aaron Jones for some reason can't go in 2 weeks, do they need to start looking at free agents? Do we need to pick somebody up, or you're confident in Ty Chandler being able to fill in?
I like Ty Chandler. I wish they would have kept Kene Nwangwu. I don't know really why they released him at the end of training camp. I would scan the waiver wire, or not the waiver wire, the other teams' practice squads before I go to free agency. I looked at the free agency list the other day, and it was a whole lot of nothing. I think like the most promising dude I saw on there were ex-Vikings, Jerick McKinnon and Latavius Murray. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I don't know that those guys would either complement Ty Chandler. So I really haven't looked at other teams' practice squad, so I'd probably go there first. I like Ty Chandler. I mean, when he came in last year, when the Vikings finally decided Alexander Madison was not good, he did very well. But I don't think he's a guy that can be a 25 carry guy. And they need somebody that can complement his style. Like
he hesitated a lot, I felt like, on Sunday. He kept waiting for holes to open and not taking opportunities that he had, which was frustrating. Since not a lot, the offense there wasn't a lot working there in the second half. So
yeah, I agree. So I think they'll need to find somebody if Jones is going to be out a fair amount of time. And I think they're probably going to, even if he does play, they're probably going to put him on an even more strict pitch count than they had before. So I would expect to see Chandler more involved in the game plan against Detroit than we probably have seen in earlier games.
I saw someone give a shout out to Dan Campbell in the Applebee's commercial. And let me say, that's the only reason I have wanted to go to Applebee's in at least like 2 decades is because Dan Campbell could be my server one of these days. So now I need like a sampler basket or something. Craving.
Get the chicken wings. They're good. Get the chicken wings.
The chicken wings, like classic chicken wings, not boneless.
Oh, those are chicken nuggets. We don't even want to have this argument now. Okay.
No,
okay.
completely
Right.
agree with you. Completely agree with you.
Right.
They are not wings, but I just didn't know they had actual wings. I just remember the boneless wings.
Oh, I don't know. I haven't been to Applebee's ever.
Well, then how do you know they're good?
That's from the commercial.
Let's just make it a joke. I don't know. So the commercial.
Yeah. I don't know if I would trust the Applebee's wings, but I don't know. Maybe I'll have to try them now. But all right, what else do we got? Anything else we need to touch on? Any other spicy takes you guys want to drop?
I'm good. How you doing? How's life treating you, Dave? Doing good?
Doing great. Hey, right. We are so happy to have Sal on this season as part of the Vikings First and SKOL crew. She brings a different take to Vikings talk, her own niche, and I think it's absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, when I saw you guys had teamed up, I was fired up, man. I love it when great things happen to great people. Love this channel. Love that Sal is not part of your network. It was awesome to see. You guys are doing great things.
I'm honored. Thank you guys so much. I know. I feel very lucky to be here. So thank you, Dave, for saying that. Like I said at the top of the show, it's a miracle you haven't killed me yet. But when you say things like that, I'm like, all right, maybe I'm not on thin ice.
Well,
he used to want to kill me at work all the time.
Yeah,
trust me. He used to want to kill me all the time.
I've grown my patience since working with Ted.
Oh, so I have Ted to thank for that, I guess.
You're welcome.
Yeah. All right. Well, what game are you guys going to make it up here for?
I don't know.
You going to save it for the playoffs?
If they go to the playoffs, yeah, I don't know. My grandson wants to come up, and I saw it with school and all that this year. He's in middle school now, so I don't know. I'll see. I gotta. Grade school is one thing. Middle school is kind of tougher now, so we'll see what we can do, but can't promise anything.
Yeah, happy belated birthday to Dave. It was just this past Sunday, and the Vikings got a win for him.
Yes, they did.
Yeah, we love Libra season here on Vikings First and SKOL.
Because Sal's was a little over a week ago.
Yeah, Vikings got a win for me also against the Packers, and it doesn't get better than that, But yes, Ted, you better. Ted's been to the tailgate before. He knows the deal.
Yeah,
he's played Thunderstruck.
I'll see what I can do. Yeah,
he's experienced.
See what I can do.
Okay, guys. Well, I guess let's wrap it up here. I've already took so much of Ted's evening, which is so generous to share it with us. Your two besties.
Yeah, you bet. Yeah, my Twitter bestie and my real life bestie. It's really cool. Thanks for having me on. It was really really a treat.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. Make sure you tune in for Tyler Fornes' show live tomorrow at 6 or 6:30.
6.
6:05. Yeah, he'll be here live, The Real Forno Show. Thank you guys so much. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll be back on Thursday with another bi-week show. Maybe we'll do a story time. I'm not positive yet, but it should be fun either way. All right, SKOL guys.
Like, subscribe, and ring the bell. And rate us on your favorite aggregator. And a big shout out goes to Sal and her guests on this Vikings First and SKOL production, partnered with the Fans First Sports Network. Thanks, everyone, and SKOL!